Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, your significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, this show is for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create a life you love or love the life you create. Now, here's your host, Dr. April, and co-host Coach K.
Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. How are you doing, Coach K?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. I know you said, we're into February, but you know, February is my favorite month. Because
the month of love.
Month of love. Yesterday was my birthday, which was I just love February. Yes. And yes. So I'm so happy for that. Yes. Good. And you know what I'm so happy about also, because kind of what I did yesterday, and also the topic of today is nourishing your relationship and yourself.
I love that. When I saw it, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, because we need to do that, because love and relationships and intimacy, it's not only with other people, but with yourself. And I think this is the perfect month for us to really, really get in and to talk about that.
Yeah, super important. Because we do, like you said, we think about the relationship with others, and then we think about the one with ourselves. So I like that it's yourself included in others.
Right, definitely. And if you like what you hear, if you're out there listening, please give us a review on YouTube, Google, Facebook, and Apple. And so as we start every month, we have a charity of the month. And this charity I'm so excited about, because I know we're celebrating it this month, and there's a lot of celebrations of this month. So yeah, I'll come back to one after this. But this charity of the month is something that we really should be doing on a daily basis. But I'm highlighting it this month because it is the month of love. And one part of love is about charity, which means sometimes it's loving with a sacrifice. And so there's a charity that's called Random Acts, where people do random acts of things, which is great, where people, you pay for the person's meal. If you're in McDonald's or, I don't know, Starbucks behind you, just random acts of things. You help people with your groceries, random acts of kindness.
I love that. And I love the random acts. There was, and this, I'll make this quick so we can talk to our guests. But it made me think of, I was in Food Line, and I don't go on Food Line often because I feel like I'm cheating on Kroger. So I was already feeling guilty, and I saw an older woman at the register customer service, and I guess the credit card machines for EBT was down.
Okay.
And so she said, do I have to put all this back? And so I just yelled across. I was like, well, how much is it? And they told me, I said, well, can you take it up here? They were like, yeah. So I finished up. I went past, swiped it, and then I walked out of the store. Because it's like sometimes it moves you. We feel like it's random, but there are things that will move you for the people that you need to help. So always move. I'm just saying, it's always move on that urge if you ever feel it.
Right, definitely. And like you said, I mean, you did it. It's we call it random, but that act sometimes leaves a person for life. Like, oh my gosh, that person believed in me, and they pay it forward, or it makes radical changes in their life. So yes, that's such a great thing. So if you're thinking about different types of random acts out there, definitely check out www.randomacts.org. It's a great organization for you and your family to think about doing, definitely. So yes, so today's topic is nourishing your relationship and yourself. Yeah, which is a wonderful topic. And as I was thinking about it, and we have a great guest, her name is Rachel Awes, that's coming on. As I was thinking about it, and even I was thinking about yesterday, when you nourish your relationship and with yourself, that means actually celebrating you and celebrating that person and celebrating that relationship and honoring it.
Yeah. When you're reading the title, because I'm weird and I'm very visual, I just think about, putting on lotion. Something as simple as that, you put on lotion to nourish your skin. And on those days where you fail to do it, you get itchy, you feel brittle, you have the broken skin. So just as a visual person, if you don't lotion yourself and you don't lotion your relationships, that's kind of what I think of.
Right. That's a wonderful thing. So it's before we go to the break, as people are out there, think about how are you nourishing your relationship with yourself and how are you doing it and your relationship with others. And our guest, when we come back, is going to enlighten us on how to do that. We'll be back in a moment.
A must-have for parents to be, first-time parents, empty nesters, and parents all around. There are infinite ways to parent a child, but the trick is trying to figure out the best way that fits you and your child. Create strong connections during pregnancy, to not pulling your hair out during the terrible twos, navigating puberty, and having adult conversations with your adult children. The Intimacy of Parenthood covers it all, and it is now on Amazon, available in Kindle, Audible, and paperback.
Welcome back to the Bring In Intimacy Show, where intimacy is real. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. Yes, we're so excited on having you.
Wonderful. And I just grabbed my lotion that I have at my desk here, Coach K. It's a yummy black cherry Merlot smell. I know.
That's nourishing the skin and the nose.
That's right. Yes, I loved that analogy.
Yes, definitely. So as this show, we talk about intimacy. And so one of the first things that I ask every guest is, how do you define intimacy? And how does that relate to our topic today?
Well, I'm just thinking about this off the top. And when I think about the word itself, intimacy, the first part of the word is in, right? And so there's a piece about going inward, about drawing closer. And so I think there's this piece about intimacy for me is about vulnerability. It's about proximity and closeness. And we are relational beings. We're social animals. And so I think there's this piece about connection. We see it even on a cellular level. All our cells are working together inside our bodies, and that we are also trying to figure that out as human beings with one another, of how to coexist in a healthy way and harmonious way. So I don't know. I don't have a definition. I think if I had it some time, I'd give that some thought. But I do think it's about into me and you, into me, into in.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, I love the creative definition that you have. Yeah, and it is about connection.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And so your topic today is nourishing.
Yes, about nourishing the relationship with ourselves and with others. And so happy to talk about that.
Yes, yes. So just that first part of nourishing, what does that mean?
Nourishing, I just think about, how Coach K, you talked about lotion. And I think sometimes it is so helpful to think, what is the fundamental way to understand this? And so I think with nourishment, it's similar that, you've got a beautiful plant behind you, Dr. April, and you need to water it or it will wither and die. And what are the ways we water ourselves? and literally sometimes just drinking water.
Right.
Sometimes it's literal. And but because we're more complex beings, we have all kinds of ways we need to nourish or water ourselves, right? And so whether that be through food and drink, shelter, choosing loving relationships, ones that honor us and are safe, um, choosing meaningful vocation or meaningful ways that we go through our day and have a sense of purpose, um, etc. So I just think that's what nourishment is about. It's all the vitamins in all these different levels of us.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful thing. Yeah. And I was, as you were saying that, I was thinking about, well, what does it look when you're not nourished? And in my mind, I'm seeing people who are so busy that have no, I mean, yeah, because some people may say, well, do I know if I need to be nourished or not? How can I tell? I don't know if you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if obviously if it's a physical thing, there's going to be obvious physical symptoms, but sometimes there's still physical symptoms when we're not nourished emotionally, spiritually, mentally. That our bodies are so smart and it comes through in our bodies with symptoms still. But I think that not being nourished is also directly tied to our joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think there'll be some despondency, some sadness, some dragging around in our spirits if we're not nourished.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel sometimes lost inside of yourself when you
Yeah.
nourish yourself. And I say that because what you're saying, I think I experienced a little bit yesterday. I couldn't focus on any
Mm.
one thing.
Mm.
And I was like,
Yeah,
okay, I had to say to myself, what's missing? What is that piece that's missing? And
that's
so
right.
I went home and I needed to be in the comfort of my house.
Right. And I love that you're connecting that, Coach K, to almost losing you. And so it's like, how do I come back to me? And one of the ways for you is about going home, literally. And so, like, what is home for you? And for some people, it might be, I need to get connected to nature again, or take a walk in the woods or by the water. Um, or I need to get back in touch with people who I know and trust will love me up, or hire a therapist or a spiritual director, et cetera, who I can trust and who I know will be part of that support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I can identify with being with nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because yesterday was my birthday, so I took the day off, and I
Yes.
spent it in nature, by the beach, by the
You,
water. Yes,
oh, there you are. Look at you know how to get nourished.
yes, yes. Because that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. And then for those who are saying, well, I know we said with yourself and with others,
Mm-hmm.
how does how do you know if you need to nourish your relationship?
Well, I mean, first with yourself, I think that it's a given.
Mm-hmm.
It's not how do you know you need to. I think we just need to.
Oh, exactly.
So, for example, we don't ask, well, today, do I need to drink water or eat a meal or more than one meal? Like, we don't question that, right? And so we are in need of deep nourishment for our precious selves daily. And I'm happy to share some examples if that would be yummy.
Oh, yes, I think so, definitely.
Okay. And maybe some outside the box ones, because we could just brainstorm the super important, straightforward ones, right? Like get enough sleep, take time with your friends, da 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 da. I mean, really, like there's some really obvious, very important foundational ones. But you don't need me for that. But I will be happy to share some outside of the box self nourishment. And here's a few ideas. Okay. Um, to create wild and beautiful experiences for yourself. So, for example, what might those be? That could be a whole conversation, like a whole slumber party. Um, they could be things like, I'm going to take a hot air balloon ride at sunset. I'm going to go to the zoo and say a purring prayer to the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to write a letter to an elephant.
Mm.
I'm going to show up at a friend's door and sing.
Right.
You get the idea. So creating wild and beautiful experiences is an incredible way to nourish oneself. Another thing, I want to introduce you to the purple guy. And the purple guy, a therapy client of mine some time ago said to me that she was naming the anxious parts of herself the purple guy, and she was working on being kind to him and showing up for him. And so we all have these different parts of us, right? The parts of us that get anxious, the purple guy, or maybe the calm, wise green girl, or the, all kinds of different parts. And so to take time to care for our parts, to be nice to those parts, there's like knowingly, there's an exercise I'd love to teach you. It's very simple, called holding hands. And so let's pretend this hand of mine is the purple guy, the part of me who's anxious. And then this hand is like the calm green girl. And that girl is going to hold the purple guy's hand. And when I do this, it reminds me that I have the capacity to be with those parts of myself, and that part gets to have my care. And also, when I say I have more than one part, it reminds me I'm not just nervous. I'm also wise. I'm also capable. I'm also able to be with all the parts of me. So it's just a lovely self-care thing. We can do things like send ourselves flowers, kind of go out of our way for ourselves. We can recall what self-care we did as a child. And might any of that be stuff we'd want to do again? Just like Coach K, when you said you went home, you needed your home base, like, okay, if you want the extra deluxe version, if when you were little you liked to make forts with blankets, get out some blankets and toss them over some chairs, or if you like to draw when you were little and you just haven't done it in forever, like get out the crayons. But just to think about, like, I love these one stuffed animals. Like I have like a handful of stuffed animals now that I just love. It's like a Jelly Cats is the brand that I just love. They're so soft and adorable. And so like I will sometimes cuddle with them when I'm watching TV or whatever, when I need a little extra TLC. But that's like me loving my inner child and doing deluxe outside of the box self-care. And I'll mention one other thing, but this is like a long list. This is just a short list. Having a gratitude practice is an amazing way to nourish yourself. So research shows if you have a regular gratitude practice, whether it's, okay, just write some bullet points from the day of what you're grateful for, or you regularly let people know what you're grateful for in them, send an occasional note, random acts, that people who practice regular gratitude report higher well-being and higher happiness. So these would just be a few things. So I just would invite the listeners to think outside of the box about what would be meaningful distinctly to you, because ultimately you're the only person who knows you the very best and what would nourish you.
Wow, okay. I love that. And I think kind of definitely what you said about what you did in childhood.
Yes.
It reminded me, one of the things I used to do in childhood, I used to play with dolls and I used to do acting things. And so
yes.
things I do now is I'm taking improv classes, I'm taking acting classes. And it's not because I want to be an actress, but it's just that self-care of playing.
Yes.
Yes.
Love.
Yes. So I love what you're saying. I think that is so important.
Yes.
To and if you're raising kids, so important. Taking, she's had more than I have had. So I only had one. But it's really important to teach them about, like you said, that self-care, this nourishing, it's not just something we should think about. It's mandatory.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, go ahead.
I would say, with children, because, my mom's era and back, and sometimes with me, it's like, hey, go do this. If your mom or dad says it, you do it.
Mm.
And with my two older ones, I always, if I ask them to do something, and if I hear that it's a little bit strenuous on them, I always stop them, especially my second to the oldest, because she does have anxiety. I say, hey,
Mm.
it's okay to tell me no. And I need you to know that. And I tell them this often. They're 21 and 24, 22, something like that. But I try to say that often because I'm one of the highest people in their life.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that they should be at my beck and call, because that can be stressful to them. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that when it comes to children.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful. And I join you in that. I have two sons in their 20s, and I love that you're honoring them with that and teaching them boundaries, and that it's a-okay to say no. In fact, it's a matter of safety to learn that in the
Yeah.
world,
Right.
right? So, and the piece about self-care, and I love the thought about teaching it to our children, no matter what their age is, that we're also role modeling this for them when we nourish ourselves. And I think we can almost sometimes do it in a silly yet serious way, like, okay, I'm gonna get a bubble bath because I'm doing my self-care. You know what I mean? Like, you be overt about it, teach them, and let it be playful. Dr. April, as you're saying, we also have a need for play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so definitely beautiful.
Yeah.
And when you nourish yourself, and even with play, you the anxiety lessens, and you have freedom,
Yes.
and you can
Yes.
be expressive. Yes, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. Yes, yes. And I love your outfit,
Oh,
your
thank
beautiful
you.
necklace.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do love to play with clothes, speaking of playing.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think is that part of your nourishing yourself?
Absolutely. I'll say a quick thing about that. So why it's for me, why it's a particularly meaningful expression and self-care thing for me is that around age 10, I started buying my own clothes because I had to. And then I remember, like, at 11, an aunt visited and took me to Dayton's department store and bought me a sweater, which was the biggest deal to me ever. Fast forward, um, like in my early 40s, I'm now in my 50s. Um, in my illustrations and in my bookmaking, I was drawing all kinds of clothes on my girls and women. And then it came alive in 2016. I discovered this amazing store with these clothes and exclaimed, oh my gosh, my clothes have come alive. This is my favorite clothing store ever. I'm now a clothing ambassador and get free clothes. And, it's just this whole love language, but it's also, like, as an artist, a way that I express myself, in my living. So it's all those things. So I'm so grateful for it.
Awesome. Yes. And one of the other tips you gave talking about love language is touch.
Ah,
How touch is so important. And even when you
yes.
touch yourself, how that can calm you down when you give yourself a hug, or
Yes.
like when you sing. Yes.
I totally agree. In fact, a friend of mine has a self-hugging practice. And she daily, like, rolls around on the floor, hugging herself with a new sing-songy rhyme, like, I love you when you're sad, I love you when you're mad, I love you, and I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember also as a parent touching my children, I felt like when I did that, like, speaking of nourishment, I was well aware every time I would give them a hug or squeeze their shoulder, or, like, I felt like I was giving them vitamins. Like,
Mm,
I was well aware, like, this is part of their nervous system development, and it's affecting their formation.
right. Definitely. And touch is
Mhm.
one of those first um, ways of connecting. And not only children need it, but adults need it, of course, with, consent and all that.
Yes. Definitely.
So yes.
Mhm.
So one of the things I didn't say about you earlier is that you're an author.
Mhm.
You have a lot of different services. Can
Yeah.
you tell us how we the audience can connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a psychologist of almost 30 years. I am an author and illustrator of 4 self-help gift books. They're all in full color. I remember when I was little and books changed to chapter books and there was no more colorful pictures. And I was so sad. So I brought them back for adults. um, but my books are all kind of, they're just really all about reminding people in new and different ways about your worth, about ways to nurture yourself and your relationships. And my newest book is called The Relationship Book, covering things like relationships with food and self and animals and people and community, divinity, just a whole range. And here's the cover. So
Oh,
you can see how it's colorful.
yes.
Okay. The main place that people can find me is rachelaws.com, which is just RACHELAWES. And on that website, you can click on the upper banner on shop. That will get you to my Etsy shop where all my art and books are. And for, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, a gift for yourself. I've often told my books sit on people's bedside table because they're intimate. They're vulnerable. They kind of get right to the heart.
Mhm.
So that would be a main place. And you can just Google my name too and find me on social media and all the places.
Mhm. Well, it has definitely been a pleasure to have you on
Aw,
the show.
thank
Yes.
you. It's been a pleasure to be with you all.
Yes, I love your energy and keep doing the work that you're doing because it's
Thank
very
you.
important and it's inspiring.
Thank you. Right back at you, both of you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We'll take a break and we'll be back in a moment.
All right. Thank you.
Learn to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself and your inner spirit in order to further manifest a more fulfilling, intimate life. Find your purpose in life, develop unwavering confidence, heal your inner child, and authentically live this purpose every day. It starts with you. Couldn't be further from the truth. Intimacy is not taboo, nor should it cost a fortune. Get your copy today. It Starts With You is available on Amazon, Audible, and
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy Show, where intimacy is real. Wow, Coach K, that was wonderful.
That was the calmness, her tone is so awesome. Just the tools, the resources, all of it is just like, wow. I love when I get confirmations from when we do our shows, because literally Saturday is the She Flow, which is the Lady Sensual Touch class that I do.
Right.
And when you guys were talking about the touch, that's something that I talk about, like understanding the power of your own touch is so important. And then when you know that your partner's touch is that powerful, being able to tell them that.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it all.
Yes. And one of the things I forgot to comment on with her is that she's very unique and she owns her
Yeah.
uniqueness, which
Yeah.
is so powerful because many times people try to fit themselves in some kind of mold of someone else. And
Exactly. And they're not their genuine self.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yes. So what's coming up?
All righty. So in this popped up month of February, on February the 9th, we have Design the Life You Love with Shana Francesca, and I may be saying that wrong. On February the 16th, we have Dating in Today's Generation with Alan Ramakalawan. And then on February the 23rd, we have Survive to Thrive, How to Get Intimacy Back After a Narcissistic Relationship with Woman Warrior Christina. Great lineup coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. So of course, this has been February is the month of love, and we're talking about nourishing and taking care of yourself. Yes, and this month, please make sure you take care of yourself, love yourself, and as we talked earlier, the importance of touch, and say positive things to yourself. And we will see you guys next week on the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back, where intimacy is real. You can also find us at bringingintimacyback.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Dr. April Brown's 7th book series, Improving Intimacy, is now on Amazon. We'll see you next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe.